You are once again welcome to Evangelist Imakalo TV, Treasury of Excellent Knowledge. I am your serviceable servant, Evangelist Imakalo. I want to speak on this topic. Can you manage your privileges? It's a question to you. And you owe the answer to yourself first. It is a question to me, and I have been providing the answer to myself first, and I'm still providing the answer to God and to humanity. And it is not about verbal responses. The answer should be proven by actions and productivity. The action you take, then the what you produce through your actions, the result of your action, the resultant effect of the action taken to answer the question. So the resultant effect can be no to the question, can you manage your privilege? The answer can also be yes. Or at times it can be yes, at times it can be no, depending on occasions where when the privileges come to us, how we respond to each privilege. Should we be responding to the privileges and managing them well every moment they come, or should we be mismanaging them every time they come to us? Or should we at times manage them well, or the other time mismanage them? Can you manage your privileges? I can certainly tell you that everybody living in this life as an adult, even as a teenager or as an adolescent, has once upon a time mismanaged his or her privilege, if not much, one at least. Many people have been mismanaging their privileges. Privilege is a special or preferential treatment or offer. A preferential or special offer or treatment. How you are treated specially or preferentially, how you are preferred for something, is a privilege to you. How I am preferred for something where there are other people is a privilege to me. There is no opportunity that is always available for a particular person in the world. There will always be other people aspiring the same opportunity, but the opportunity may not be available for all. At times, it may be out of love, or out of relationship, or out of politics, or out of favoritism, or whatever way a particular person will be chosen, or a group of people will be chosen, and others will be left for that opportunity, for that matter. It also happened that those who are chosen may not always be better in performance than those who are not chosen for that opportunity. And all these things makes it privilege. Even when it is work for payment, that job opportunity is being sought by many people, but the company cannot provide job for everybody. At times, some people are given the job by preference, not always by qualification, not always by turn, but by preference. So, If I will continue, I will continue to build the preambles, but I don't want this video to be so long. At least from the little preambles I have built, you have to understand what is privilege and how privileges can manifest. We always blame Adam and Eve for their failure as people being the first to be created by God, how they rebelled against God, and how they allow sin to penetrate them, and that sinful attitude continue to penetrate human generations. And it is always said that the sin of Adam is still affecting the people of many generations. But Abel Damina, in his controversy, in his logic and philosophy, not according to Bible revelation, not according to biblical facts and reality, claims that the sins of Adam and Eve cannot affect anybody. But it is a lie. The sin of Adam and Eve, according to his own conception and logic, means that the sin of Adam and Eve died with Adam and Eve. That is the sin they committed by themselves. But they have brought sin into the human generation. So since they were expelled from the Garden of Eden, they never stopped sinning. They continue to give birth to children. And with their sinful influence, they were training their children. And among the children they gave birth to, some turned out to become born again, while the rest turned out to become sinners. And they began to commit sin even more than their father, Adam, who are the progenitors of humans that exist everywhere in the world. The majority of them were sinners. Then, taking it to Genesis chapter 6, you will see that God began to feel pains for the good things he had done to humanity to create humans in his own image with a designated purpose that humans are supposed to serve, only for humans to turn against him by sinning and becoming chronic sinners. Only the minute were righteous. And during the days of that Genesis chapter 6, it was just Noah and his family circle. While in Genesis chapter 4, Genesis chapter 4, it was Seth and his own family. In Genesis chapter 5, it was Enoch and his own family that were really active to serving God. So, what I am bringing here in essence is that as soon as people continue to sin, and nobody will ever lie, even Abel Damina can never lie to defend that himself had never sinned in this life, or nobody had ever sinned since after Adam and Eve. So, people suffering under the sin of Adam means that people had aligned with the Adamic system of sinning, and the people are committing sin, and the people are suffering for it. That is what it simply means. So there is no logic about this. We know it is true. And it is based on this revelation that Apostle Paul quoted. He said, "For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God." That is, the sinfulness of humanity makes the glory of God. That is God's intention, God's plan, God's program, God's intended prosperity and success. They are all running shortage in the life of the sinful humanity. The only way to reverse it is to accept Jesus Christ and become born again. But here I'm not preaching directly on becoming born again. If you want to know that, then you have to go and listen to my video, Who is a Born Again Christian? Last week I made a video with the title, the cost of becoming. But today it is about can you manage your privileges? Adam and Eve as Michael's explanation. Could they manage their privileges? God gave them some privileges, but they never appreciated it. They were never able to manage that privilege God has given to them and see with resultant effects as evidence that they were not able to manage that privilege. God gives all of us privileges, but are we able to manage the privileges God has given to us? Before I continue, let me read the text. Genesis chapter 2, verse 15 to 17, Amplified Classic. He said, "And the Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to tend and guard and keep it. And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, You may freely eat of every tree of the garden, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and blessing and calamity, you shall not eat. For in the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die." God had created Adam and placed him in the Garden of Eden to steward the Garden of Eden. It is a privilege. Adam never contributed to his own creation, to his own existence. God just imagined of replicating heaven on earth. He created the earth. He created human who should be his replica, to steward the earth, to manage the rest of the creation, starting from Adam. It is a privilege. Adam never contributed. We never contributed to our existence. All are just opportunity we have gotten from God. Adam got this opportunity. And the garden, he never planted. He never created the crops. He never provided the water. Everything free. Only for him to take care of it and also benefit absolutely from it. Let us go to chapter 3, verse 6 and 7 of chapter 3. "And when the woman saw that the tree was good, suitable, pleasant for food, and that it was delightful to look at, and a tree to be desired in order to make one wise, she took of its fruit and ate, and she gave some also to her husband, and he ate. Then the eyes of them both were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves apron-like girdles." After God had placed Adam as the steward of the Garden of Eden, God later on created his wife Eve. The two of them were living together and were enjoying and stewarding the Garden of Eden until the serpent came, intruded into the Garden of Eden, manipulated Eve, then confused her. Eve rebelled against God by taking the prohibited fruits. God had warned them seriously with his commandment that they should never take off, not to talk of eating, telling them of the consequences if they should dare rebel against him to eat of that fruit. Eve eventually ate that fruit, convincing her husband Adam. Adam partook in eating of that fruit. Thereafter, the eyes of them both were open. It is then they realized that they were naked, and they began to find alternative means to cover their nakedness. I've been explaining about the nakedness, so I'm not going to talk about the nakedness in detail. The chapter 3 of the book of Genesis is titled theologically the fall of man. But when I will teach about the fall of man as that entire chapter, that is when I begin to talk about all of these things in detail. The nakedness, spiritual nakedness, emotional nakedness, physical nakedness, intellectual nakedness. They came to realize that they were absolutely empty. Verse 22 to 24. And the Lord God said, Behold, the man has become like one of us, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, to know how to distinguish between good and evil, and blessing and calamity. And now, lest he put forth his hand, and take also from the tree of life and eat, and live forever. Therefore the Lord God sent him forth from the Garden of Eden to till the ground from which he was taken. So God drove out the man, and he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden the cherubim and a flaming sword, which turned every way to keep and guard the way to the tree of life. Compare it to Revelation chapter 2 verse 7, Revelation 22 verse 2, verse 14 and verse 19. So this is the tree of life in heaven, and the one Adam and Eve had eaten is the tree of life on earth. The earth is meant to be the replicate of heaven. We see Adam and Eve were expelled from the Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden is the garden of privilege, the garden of opportunity, the garden of sufficiency, the garden of absolute peace, the garden of rest, the garden of protection, the garden of godliness, the garden of covenant relationship with God, the garden of joy in its fullness. They lost the opportunity they had through the privilege that was given to them. How have you been misusing your own privileges? Before I continue with myself, I want to talk about 1, 2, or 3, or 4 factors that make people to abuse privileges. 1, when people cannot respect boundaries. The law of God to prohibit them from eating that food is a law of boundary. That law is a boundary. Don't cross this boundary. Announcing the boundary, warning them from crossing the boundary. They eventually crossed the boundary. Stubbornness. They exhibited stubbornness against God. Stubbornness is the act of knowing the truth, knowing the reality, hearing the voice of the mentor, of the teacher, of the father, of the mother, of the friend, or whosoever that mean well, that has given us the privilege, and later deliberately ignoring the voice of that person to go contrary to the agreement. Third, violation of covenant. The law announced the covenant. My covenant with you is continue to enjoy all of these things, but don't touch my own. This is my private property. That fruit, that prohibited fruit, the fruit of knowledge of good and evil, the fruit to make one to turn out to become extraordinary and to be like God. After all, I created you free. You did not contribute anything. I don't want you to be like me. I don't want you to compete with me. I just want you to serve to this stage and enjoy yourself. They are all yours. It is the same competition and comparison that Lucifer tried in heaven, and that was the reason he was cast away. It is the same Lucifer that came back to restore that competition, telling Eve, Nalayo, it's a lie. Are you a God? It's a deceiver. How can he not want you to be wise? Does that make sense? Somebody who was not there when you were created, who did not contribute anything. Which gift did Satan bring to them? None. Why didn't Satan take him to their own garden of Eden, or whatever name he may wanted to call it, where he believed to be better, where they will enjoy more? Eve never reasoned it that way. Adam never reasoned it that way. Breach of covenant. Breaking of covenant. Ignoring the voice of the mentor. Being stubborn. The next one is ingratitude. When people are ungrateful, they cannot appreciate the privilege you have given to them. They will just appreciate it from the beginning, but when they begin to feel comfortable, they begin to think they have arrived, they will want to challenge. That is the step Adam and Eve took. Ungrateful. They never continued to appreciate God's goodness. Then lust, L-U-S-T. Their own was lust of appetite, lust of knowledge, lust of power. They wanted to become like God in power. They wanted to become like God in knowledge. They wanted to test the fruit to see how it really tastes. It is not out of hunger. It is not out of lack. Lust. When people are greedy, they will always abuse privileges given to them. At least I have made mention of 4 or 5. Then, how have you been abusing your own privileges? Privileges from God, privileges from your fellow humans. Can you manage your own privileges? If I may ask you, apart from the privileges you have abused in the past and the one you are abusing right now, when the scenarios, the consequences will be over, if other privileges are given to you in the near and far future, how can you manage them? Can you manage them well, or can you manage them wrongly? Remember, I am your serviceable servant, Evangelist Nima Carlo. I am a human capital developer. I am an evangelical author, and I am a custodian of Christianity. So, all of these things are about human development. These are the things that build people's life, build people's character, prepare people to meet opportunities and utilize them well. But when people are not prepared, even if the opportunities are created to them, they will abuse the opportunity. They will bypass the opportunity. Even when you tell them, when you call them their attention and tell them, hey, this is opportunity to this and that. Okay, yes, I can realize. You carry it and give to them in their hand, they will still abuse it because they are not prepared for it. So what I do is to prepare people, building people, making people valuable and marketable, so that when you, as soon as you see that opportunity, you seize it. You take that opportunity. You become like that man whom Jesus gave the 5 talents. You will not be like that one whom 1 talent was given and he was not able to manage only 1. But the one with 5 could manage 5 and double it. But now this is a good opportunity. He doubled it, and Jesus said he will add more to that man. This is the kind of person I have become, and I want to continue to be. And this is the kind of person I want you to be. It is not matter of your age. Many people do abuse opportunities. Many people do abuse privileges. It had been said that one of the reasons most Africans are poor, and one of the reasons we are set back, most Africans are set back in life. When I say we, I'm comparing to the number, to the majority. Even Africa as a continent. One of the major reasons we are set back when compared to other continents is because we abuse privileges. It has been discovered. He said, when you give Africans privileges, they will abuse it. This is a word I heard many years ago, and I have come to study the doings, the undoings, the attitudes, the behaviors of we Africans. Even the majority of Africans in diaspora still have the same attitude up to today. I'm not trying to say that it is only Africans that misuse privileges, but I'm talking about where it is predominant. And the reason is that a lot of us are not well educated to be prepared. Even most of us cannot even recognize privileges. Most of us do not know the value of privileges. Some of us do it out of ignorance. We abuse privileges. There are many factors, but these are not the factors that I'm coming to begin to talk about one by one. But from the Bible revelation, I have stated 4. Just check it out by yourself. What kind of privileges have you abused in the past? What kind of opportunity have you abused in the past? Then how can these privileges be identified? For example, like myself, I stopped making myself available so much to many people here in the Valencia city of Spain, where I live, and some other places. When I came to discover, when I say people, I mean more especially fellow Africans. I came to discover that during our gatherings, I have a different perspective from average person in every gathering. And the majority of them have group line of thinking, group line of thought. They think alike, they behave alike, they judge alike. And I came to discover that the majority of our people are emotional rather than being reasonable. They don't handle matters. They don't respond to people. They don't respond to anything based on reason. They respond based on emotion. And they are sentimental. They are not real. They are compromised. So when anything happens, they don't face the reality of identifying and passing their judgment based on who is wrong and who is right. They will begin to judge it based on who is their party member, who is a member of their clique. So they are supposed to go to the member of their clique and not to the innocent person. Then to make the matter worse is that I will make my research, I will study my Bible, I will read books, spend a lot of money to acquire knowledge, which a lot of them do not do. But in some gatherings, when a matter will arise that will require people to talk, I came to discover that I talk differently from many people. And some people will just want to disgrace themselves just because I said what they do not know. So I came to discover that some people have the attitude of, as soon as you say what they don't know, they will want to undermine the value of whatever you have to say, especially when you are not a member of their clique. Some of them will turn it to argument. They don't argue to learn. They don't argue to establish the truth and reality. They only argue to establish their own perception, their own opinion, and to win the argument. And if you argue further, they will begin to insult you. And some of them do it out of pride. So, I came to check. After all, the information I bring to them is for learning. After all, it helps them the more. These are the kind of information some of them may live their entire life without having. And it helps them the more. I already know it. Why should I be arguing? And all those kind of matters. There are people you will harbor in your own house. They will become a problem to you. These are kind of experiences I have had. You may also have had such an experience. Or maybe you have become a problem to some other people who have created some privileges to you. You borrow money to some people. They will tell you when they will pay it. I know definitely the time may not be suitable anymore for them. They will delay and delay. But you come to find out that these people just use the borrowed language to collect the money from you. They never intend to pay it back at any time. And they will be willing to make trouble with you. It is an abuse of privilege. What is it? Even a man exploiting a woman in relationship, an abuse of privilege. A woman exploiting a man in relationship, an abuse of privilege. Or you, a man, you marry a woman only because of the money she has, and they never fall love. And if the money does not get to you, you cause a problem in the marriage. Even if the money gets to you, you misuse the money for your selfish aggrandizement. You abuse the woman and abuse the relationship. Abuse of privilege. A woman, you get married to a man, and your ulterior motive is to use the marriage to enrich your family. I mean the family comprising your father, your mother, and your siblings, because your husband is rich. Abuse of privilege. You parents, your hope to become rich or to change your family economic status is for your daughter to marry that rich man, so that the man will come and change your family. The man takes good care of your daughter and is preparing to continue like that, to train both their children. After all, it is family. And to be assisting your own family as little as you can, but you make it as an obligation that the man should come and take up a major part of your financial responsibility in your own family. And if the man refuses, you begin to cause trouble into their marriage, the marriage that has granted safety, peace to your daughter. Your own problem in your own family becomes the reason they will begin to quarrel in their own marriage. Abuse of privilege. There are different ways people abuse privileges. There are people you will allow to come close to you, and it is about you helping them. As soon as they know your secrets, they will go and begin to disclose your secret to those who are not supposed to know about it. Abuse of privilege. Or maybe you are a gossip. You also do the same to other people. You are abusing your privilege. Because these are some of the factors that make people to lose some kind of opportunity, some kind of privileges, some kind of good relationship they have with people. Some people cannot be trusted. Some people cannot be trusted. When you are dealing with some people, you mean business with them and you want to train them on business, you want to build them, you want to help them, but they begin to steal your money. They begin to lie. There are people you may want to help, but the only reason you cannot just help them is because you cannot trust them. Abuse of privilege, whom they have made themselves to be, because of some kind of attitude they have exhibited against trust. They have breached the trust. It is called breach of trust. Abuse of privileges. Or maybe you are the one others have been trying to help with good intention, but you have a lying attitude. Are you a kind of person who believes you cannot really succeed if you don't lie and manipulate? It makes you to abuse the privileges people want to give to you or the one they have given to you, and making them not to trust you anymore. Abuse of privileges. Can you really manage your privileges very well? Privileges will continue to come. When you build yourself, you form your character, you transform yourself, you become a person of integrity. Some people will want to run businesses with you just because they can rely on you. Even at times, you may not have money. Some people will want to bring their money because they rely on you. They can run business with you. As I speak, I come to discover that many Africans in diaspora, or let me say the Shenanigan colonial territory called Nigeria, is a place where myself and others who come from that territory, living in diaspora, we find it difficult to have extensive means of income. A lot of people in diaspora have the willingness to start up some businesses back home, to start up little and large scales of investment back home. But the main problem is abuse of privileges. There are people you will call, negotiate with them to start up any kind of business, you know. In most cases, it will be us who are in diaspora that bring the business idea, will be the financier of that business to bring the person in or the people in. And the business will begin to, if the business will be well handled, it will begin to progress little by little, until it begin to develop into high extent. But the major problem is that most of these people you want to run this business with are dubious. They are dubious in different ways. Other people can attest to this reality here. So when I have to come on camera to talk, I don't just talk by assumption. I talk with facts and figures, things that have happened, because I don't want this video to be too long. From the last explanation, refer it to your past experience and from the experiences of others, and some things you can see happening there in Nigeria and the ones you see on social media, how people engage into businesses with others, and you see that the business, the progress of the business was not the problem, but the greediness and the duplicity of those that are contracted to run the business with back home become the problem. I'm not talking about all of them. I'm not talking about all of them. There are still genuine people among them. In case anybody wants to run business with the home-based people, but the majority are dubious. So they come with the intention of, how can I dupe this man, how can I dupe this woman, and turn this money to become my own? If it is 5 million naira, if it is 10 million naira, if it is 20 million naira, they will begin to plan on how they will manipulate and just turn the money to their own to go. If they want to build a house or want to do whatever, that is their aim. It is no longer about running the business, be getting their own little share, and the man be getting his own little share. They will bring their greediness into that business, abuse of privileges. So remember, my 5 books are online. Understanding and Executing Righteousness, that is my master textbook. Lost and Their Problems, then that will guide, will expose to you that many things lost in different ways manifest into abuse privileges and the problems, dangers they cause to humanity. Living a contented life, that is the guide, the education about how to live a contented life, to build yourself on how to prepare yourself to living the contented life and continue to progress with genuineness. Then the Olivet prophecy, Matthew 24, the prophecy of Jesus Christ about the end time events that will herald the rapture, all being explained according to the book of Matthew 24. How also polygamy and its problems. Polygamy and its problems. I have made mention of the Olivet prophecy. Understanding and Executing Righteousness, that is the master textbook. Lost and Their Problem, Living a Contented Life, the Olivet prophecy. Then polygamy and its problems. The problems of polygamy, a man marrying more than one wife, the problems that it generates. They are all there, they are online. Hard copy, soft copy, electronic copy, which is ebook. So I am here to continue to educating you as an evangelical author, a human capital developer, making people valuable and marketable, and a custodian of Christianity. I remain your serviceable servant, Evangelist Inyima Kalu. Bye.